Hello, welcome back to the We Are City channel. A little quick news update here live on the We Are City channel from me. And of course, we've got the Birmingham City FA Cup game. I think it's round 3, is it? Round 4 coming up live at 1 o'clock today. So tune in at 1 o'clock to watch that live of our alternative commentary of the Birmingham City game. Just a bit of a news that came out last night I thought I'd touch on this morning. There's been some breaking news this morning about a potential striker signing for Manchester City. That we will leave for now. We will do a live after the game to talk about that. That's something a bit more exciting that needs to be spoke about in depth, I think, for longer than a little short live to describe what's going on, describe the news that's going on. So transfer news that came out last night is Pep Guardiola is desperate to sign current Manchester City on loan third choice goalkeeper Scott Carson. He's 35 now and they want him on a permanent transfer. He's currently on loan again from Derby City. Pep has described Carson like a captain behind the scenes of the club. And I thought this was quite a bit of an interesting news, really, on Scott Carson. That, you know, when he signed for City, many people saw him as just someone who's come in to fulfil the homegrown quota. Of course, as we know, in the Premier League, you've got to have a 25-man squad, or up to 25-man squad. 8 of those must be English homegrown players. They count as homegrown players. They don't have to be English. Of course, Nathan Ake counts as a homegrown player because he played in England for, I think it's 5 years before the age of 21, so that counts as a homegrown player as well. So Scott Carson, of course, he's English. He's played at Liverpool. Carson, he's on loan from Derby currently. And Pep Guardiola wants him on a permanent deal. And I've got some quotes from Pep Guardiola here that I thought was really interesting. And that's why I thought I'd do this little news update. Pep Guardiola said, "We have one player, one keeper that's so important for us, and that is Scott Carson. He is like a captain behind the scenes, like Fernandinho." So Pep Guardiola is comparing Scott Carson to Fernandinho in a leadership role in the dressing room, which is a surprise, I think, for City fans when you think of Scott Carson. Pep has also said about Scott Carson, he said he's not noticed in the papers or on the field because he's third keeper, but in the locker room, he's like another captain. He's so important, hopefully he can stay longer and with us for the next years. So Pep wants Scott Carson a permanent deal. No doubt he'll be going to our footballing director, the man in charge of transfers, Cheeky, and saying to him that he wants Scott Carson on a permanent deal. And I just thought it was really interesting that Pep Guardiola is speaking about Scott Carson this way. Like I said, you think of Scott Carson as the third choice keeper, you don't really think of him much, but obviously he's a very important player in the dressing room. And when you think of these Manchester City players of old, you think of, you know, leaders in the dressing room: Pablo Zabaleta, Fernandinho currently. You'd say maybe Carlos Tevez was a bit of a leader. Vincent Kompany's the main one, isn't he? Vincent Kompany's a massive leader. When Kompany left 2 seasons ago, as fans we said, you know what, other than Fernandinho, the club probably lacks a leadership player in the dressing room. You know, there's only Fernandinho, there's no other leader in the dressing room. Well, it's been revealed to us, hasn't it, today, or yesterday it was, the news came out, that Scott Carson is one of the leaders in the dressing room. And it's just a little bit surprising to see that Scott Carson is that integral to the club. But it's good to see, and I think it's really good to have a player like Scott Carson in the club as a third choice keeper. He's experienced. I know he's behind Stefan and Edison now. He was always going to be behind them. But he's going to maybe get some game time today, possibly. There's some rumours that Scott Carson will play today, but I do expect Zach Steffen to start in the game against Birmingham. But it just proves how important certain players can be purely for the dressing room reasons, can't they? They don't have to be starters every game. They don't have to be on the pitch. Scott Carson, a bit like Richard Wright, maybe will never make an appearance for Manchester City. I think Carson did a recent interview in which he said that he'd like to make an appearance for the club. I'm not sure he's one of these modern-day goalkeepers, though, is he, Scott Carson? He's a good shot stopper. I know we've seen him play a few times. I remember once he played Manchester United for Derby. He was in the goal for Derby against Manchester United and pulled off some incredible saves against Manchester United. And the fans were saying, oh, you know, he's turned into prime Neuer against us. And City have obviously picked him out because of his leadership qualities, possibly when they signed him, and saw that he's a player that can be integral to the dressing room. And I thought it's a really interesting thing to touch on before today's game is this news on Scott Carson. So expect Scott Carson to be signing on a permanent deal in the summer. Of course, the summer transfer window is not too long away now, is it? Maybe 6 months away. Less, I think, maybe 5 months away. And Scott Carson probably will be the first signing of the season. He is out of contract at Derby County the end of the season. So City will be picking up on a free transfer. I'm not sure what his wages are wise. Maybe he'll get a wage increase due to his leadership qualities. But it's really good to have a third choice keeper and another leader in the dressing room. And when you competing for titles and you want to win the Champions League. I'm not saying Scott Carson is the man to lead you to the Champions League, but he's a voice in the dressing room and clearly he's a player that's respected by other players. So that's just a little bit of transfer news on Scott Carson. We've got breaking news coming about a striker signing for Manchester City. If you're on our Twitter, you will know that news already. If you don't know our Twitter, it's there at the bottom of the screen. It's at We Are City MCFC. Head over to our Twitter, have a look at our recent tweets, and you will see that City have been linked. It's news from The Sun. It's Martin Blackburn at The Sun. And a lot of people say don't trust The Sun's news, but Martin Blackburn is someone I personally think you can trust. Martin Blackburn is sort of one of these Manchester City journalists who's been around a long time. He's worked for The Sun, I'm not sure for how long now, but he always seems to be in with the City voices, and we've got a big, long little talk about the signing striker, and when you know who it is, you will be very, very excited. And I don't want to, on our live, say I'm not excited for that striker signing, but is it going to happen? That's the main question, isn't it, with transfers? So please, like the video, subscribe to the channel. The live against Birmingham City will be going up at 1 o'clock. The game starts at 1:30, so we'll be on just before then. If you haven't seen our FIFA Predicts video, Sergio Aguero returns, then Manchester City 4, Birmingham City 2 is the prediction from FIFA. Go ahead and watch that video. That is on our channel, and it will be played before the live as well, live on our channel, so you'll be able to watch it again if you have missed it. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.